Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. General Hospital, GH, spoilers for the next 2 weeks, August 24th to September 4th, show that some Port Charles residents will be devious. There will be some retribution plots and angry outbursts, so let's discuss what GH fans should expect. During the week of August 24th to 28th, Valentine Cassadine, James Patrick Stewart, persuades Jason Morgan, Steve Burton, to meet with him to explore a fresh idea. Carly Spencer, Laura Wright, will play referee as Valentine presents his pitch. Willow Kane, Caitlin McMullen, is about to have some heated interactions. Willow will once again trade barbs with Tracy Quartermaine, Jane Elliott, and go off against Jack Brennan, Chris McKenna. Over with Rick Lansing, Rick Hurst, he will notice another romantic moment between Elizabeth Baldwin, Rebecca Herbst, and Dante Falconeri, Dominic Zamprogna, as she pushes him in a wheelchair at GH. Rick's jealousy will push him to make further assumptions. Next, Nina Reeves, Cynthia Wetros, will become enraged. Will it be over Brennan's treatment of Willow, or something Michael Corinthos, Rory Gibson, does to her daughter? Regardless, Michael will seek instruction from Sonny Corinthos, Maurice Bernard later. Jordan Ashford, Tanisha Harper, will also clarify her loyalty, so she may remind Drew Kane, Cameron Matheson, that it is all about Michael when it comes to Aurora. Drew will finally make a vindictive vow, and we'll see who is on the receiving end. This could include learning more about Danny Morgan's, Asher Antonizan, and Charlotte Cassadine's Bluesy Burke frame-up plot. Whatever the case, Alexis Davis, Nancy Lee Grahn, will make some threats, and she may face Drew on Danny's behalf. Giovanni Gio Palmieri, Giovanni Mazza, and Emma Scorpio Drake, Braden Bruner, will listen in on a heated argument. As a result, Emma and Gio may end up hearing more than they intended. Ava Jerome, Maura West, set a trap in action. Drew will also be purposely interrupted, which could indicate sabotage in the upcoming auction. The week of August 31st to September 4th may provide some shocks in terms of who wins the auction. Drew, Sonny, and Valentine all have huge plans to take Jen Sidwell's Carlo Rhoda assets, but there are some unexpected twists and turns in store. Hudson Parker, Troy Lennon Appel, will have to decide what to do about Phoebe Chase, Luna, and Lucia Creighton, now that he knows she is Delilah Wilson's, Lily Cardone daughter. Anna Devane, Finola Hughes, will continue to listen to Peter August, Wes Ramsey, and put the pieces together for her deadly Brit Westbourne, Kelly Thiebaud, setup, which can only lead to disaster. At Pentonville, Curtis Ashford, Donnell Turner, will have to deal with some cellmate drama as a result of Sidwell, which will add to the misery of his prison sentence. Finally, danger may be building for Kai Taylor, Jens Austin Astrup, but will it be from Willow, Trina Robinson's, Tabiana Ali, Stalker, or both? General Hospital spoilers predict that the next 2 weeks will offer some distressing news and new difficulties, so stay tuned. Residents in Port Charles's shadowy corners brace themselves for another stretch of calculating machinations and visceral confrontations, where alliances move like the tides of the harbor and every whispered promise carries the weight of possible disaster. The environment at Metro Court was tense when Valentine Cassadine approached Jason Morgan with a well-worded proposal. The two men, each with a history of loss and reinvention, faced each other across a polished table, with Carly Spencer hovering nearby as a planned buffer against any abrupt escalation. Valentine's tone remained measured as he outlined possibilities centered on mutual benefit, perhaps a joint business related to lingering Cassadine interests or a subtle realignment of power in the face of foreign threats. Jason listened with the calm of a man who had long realized that every offer required analysis. Carly interfered at key occasions, her words strong yet diplomatic, ensuring that the argument would not devolve into open animosity. Outside the suite, the city went about its business, unaware that this gathering would rewrite influence maps for months. Willow Kane was caught up in a series of rhetorical fights at General Hospital, leaving little opportunity for retreat. Tracy Quartermaine arrived first, with an acerbic tongue that had never softened with age. The two women circled each other in a corridor near the elevators, swapping accusations about family connections, custody borders, and the lingering shadow of past mistakes that Willow still carried like a damp towel. Tracy's warnings were delivered with practiced precision, each one intended to expose what she perceived as weakness or opportunism. Willow responded in kind, her rage building as she protected the remnants of stability she still held. Hours later, the confrontation changed when Jack Brennan cornered her near the nurse's station. Brennan's approach was weighed down by unfinished business, questions about Nina's involvement, inferences about Willow's recent decisions, and a firm refusal to pay certain bills. Willow's comments became sharper, her posture tight, and the conversation escalated until personnel around exchanged unpleasant glances. These were not polite debates. They were public displays of unresolved wrath, with each remark intended to hurt. Rick Lansing's jealousy, which had been simmering for some time, was fueled when he saw Elizabeth Baldwin guiding Dante Falconeri around the hospital corridors in a wheelchair. Outsiders might have thought the moment was ordinary, Elizabeth's hand solid on the chair, Dante's silent gratitude, but Rick saw something far more intimate. He watched from a distance, his old doubts turning to certainty. Later, he confronted Elizabeth with assumptions that left little space for explanation, raising his voice as he depicted scenes of betrayal and concealed affection. Elizabeth attempted to deflect, citing Dante's rehabilitation and her own professional duties, but Rick's conclusions hardened with each protest. The confrontation spilled into a side room, where monitors beeped continuously, unconcerned with the human drama developing alongside them. Dante, still handicapped by his injury, could only listen as the dispute revolved around him, adding difficulty to an already precarious recuperation. Nina Reeves' rage, which had long simmered beneath her carefully controlled composure, suddenly boiled over. Whether the cause was Brennan's ongoing pressure on Willow or Michael Corinthos' new maneuver against her daughter's interests, the outcome was the same, an eruption that left all within earshot astonished. Nina's words were quick and sharp, aimed at one target after another, her voice bearing the weight of maternal protectiveness and personal grievance. Michael, sensing a shift in the mood, subsequently sought advice from Sonny Corinthos. The two men spoke in the relative quiet of Sonny's office, with Michael explaining the mounting pressures, custody issues, business disputes at Aurora, and the constant need to keep 3 steps ahead of those who would demolish all he had built. Sonny listened with the patience of someone who had been through similar storms, offering advice tempered by bitter experience. Meanwhile, Jordan Ashford made her own loyalties quite apparent. In a direct confrontation that left no room for misunderstanding, she assured Drew Kane that when it came to Aurora's future, her allegiance was solidly with Michael. The sentence fell like a gauntlet, forcing Drew to reconsider his remaining options. Drew's response took the form of a spiteful vow delivered with silent ferocity. Standing alone in a dimly lighted corridor, he resolved to exact revenge on those he believed had harmed him, including Sonny and possibly others whose deeds had left scars. Rumor suggested that the vow was related to the frame-up plot involving Danny Morgan and Charlotte Cassadine, which was still ragged and incomplete. Alexis Davis, who was always protective of the younger generation under her supervision, retaliated with threats of her own. She faced Drew directly, her voice quiet and crisp, emphasizing that any move against Danny would face strong opposition. The two locked eyes across a small distance, neither ready to concede ground. Meanwhile, Giovanni Palmieri and Emma Scorpio Drake became unintentional witnesses to a furious argument. Positioned just beyond a partially open door, they took in more than they intended, fragments of strategy, accusations, and plans that neither completely understood nor recognized as harmful. The knowledge fell between them like a shared secret that required cautious handling. Ava Jerome, never one to sit still, set a trap in motion with remarkable elegance. Details remained scarce, but the goal was clear: to throw someone off guard at a vital moment. Drew himself experienced deliberate impediment, which halted his progressive progress. Whether it was sabotage directed at the upcoming sale of Jen Sidwell's holdings or a more personal impediment, the outcome compelled him to halt and reconsider. The auction loomed as a conflict, with Drew, Sonny, and Valentine all pursuing different goals. Sidwell's assets meant more than just financial gain. They provided leverage, information, and the opportunity to influence local power systems. Twists were already brewing beneath the surface. Whispers of surprise bids, last-minute partnerships, and intelligence that may shift the balance in unanticipated directions. Hudson Parker grappled with a quieter, but no less pressing challenge. His developing hunch that Phoebe Chase is Delilah Wilson's child compelled him to explore actions that could upend several lives. The prospect necessitated rigorous verification and even more careful strategy, as taking the incorrect approach risked revealing vulnerabilities he intended to keep secret. At the same time, Anna Devane kept up her painstaking job, paying close attention to the man claiming to be Peter August. Each discussion added to the intricate arrangement she was creating around Britt Westbourne. The plan had the potential for disastrous consequences, but Anna acted with the determination of someone who had long recognized that some aims justified harsh measures. Curtis Ashford adjusted to the realities of his sentence while sharing a cell with Sidwell in Pentonville's sterile confines. The cellmate arrangement offered its own set of tensions, rivalry-infused chats, subtle power plays, and the constant awareness that prison walls intensified every disagreement. Curtis' days were long and gray, each one a reminder of the consequences of decisions made outside. Danger loomed around Kai Taylor. The threat felt immediate, whether it was due to Willow's continuous tactics, the unresolved presence of Trina Robinson's stalker, or a toxic combination of the two. Kai proceeded through his routines with greater awareness, paying closer attention to reflections and exits than usual. The next few days promised further complications. The auction's conclusion, Hudson's judgments about Phoebe, Anna's murderous preparations nearing a critical point, and the ongoing cellmate conflict at Pentonville. Disturbing news seeped through private channels, hinting to new difficulties that would force more inhabitants into situations they had hoped to avoid. The patterns of dirty actions became more pronounced as the first week progressed into the second. Valentine and Carly made an important decision that had far-reaching consequences. Sonny made a pledge to Laura Collins, whose truthfulness she would have to measure against previous experience. Ava's trap moved closer to activation. Drew's journey to vengeance was hampered by further impediments that temporarily diverted his attention. Jordan's defined loyalties continued to change the dynamics at Aurora. Michael relied more heavily on Sonny's advice as the strain rose. Nina's fury, once released, left a residue of heat that others had to manage with caution. Rick's jealousy showed no signs of waning. Willow's clashes with Tracy and Brennan left her feeling more isolated and determined. Alexis prepared to defend Danny with every resource at her disposal. Gio and Emma bore the burden of overheard realities that required eventual action. Hudson considered methods that could alter family lineages. Anna perfected her arrangement with chilling patience. Curtis survived the daily rigors of living beside Sidwell. Kai kept vigilant against threats that refused to declare themselves fully. Throughout Port Charles, the air thickened with the aroma of plots in action as tempers flared. Conversations that started with polite questions ended with heated voices and slammed doors. Proposals that appeared reasonable on the surface contained hidden barbs. Vows of revenge were spoken with cool deliberation, as if steps were planned weeks in advance. Outbursts broke out in hospital halls, private offices, and poorly lit areas where spectators were either purposefully excluded or accidentally included. The auction of Sidwell's assets drew closer, giving a public platform for private conflicts. Each person arrived with a unique weapon: information, money, power, or sheer drive to deny others what they desired. In quieter moments, the human cost became obvious. Jason weighed Valentine's proposition against years of practiced prudence. Carly combined her function as a mediator with her personal goals in the evolving landscape. Elizabeth attempted to maintain a professional distance while handling Rick's growing suspicions. Dante remained focused on healing despite the turmoil surrounding his rehabilitation. Michael needed firm counsel while safeguarding his corporate and personal interests. Jordan articulated her position with the clarity of someone who had already paid the price for conflicting loyalties. Drew's vow of vengeance gave form to his rage, while also exposing him to new risks. Alexis' threats acted as both a deterrent and a warning. Ava's trap showed a mindset that prioritized offense over defense. Anna's preparations proceeded as if they were a well-oiled machine. Curtis compared each day to the duration of his sentence. Kai determined the distance between safety and exposure. The city itself seemed to embrace the drama. Harbor lights shone on the ocean, which had held innumerable secrets. The hospital hallways echoed with footsteps, some hasty and some delayed. Conversations in private houses would never be recorded for government purposes. The next 2 weeks would not resolve the greater disputes. Rather, they would exacerbate them by introducing new layers of intricacy, new reasons for mistrust, and fresh opportunities for those determined to make the dirtiest maneuvers, swear the most spiteful vows, and unleash the most ferocious outbursts. That had always been the case in Port Charles, and the people, for better or worse, continued to play their roles with full commitment. Port Charles is poised to become a battlefield as secrets are revealed, loyalties are tested, and vengeance takes center stage. Over the following 2 weeks, the residents of General Hospital will be caught up in perilous plots, emotional confrontations, and devastating betrayals that could change everything. The drama begins with escalating tensions between Michael and Willow. Their already strained relationship takes a perilous new turn as outside forces continue to manipulate events behind the scenes. Michael struggles to keep control while dealing with unforeseen setbacks that leave him angry and vulnerable. Every move he makes appears to create another impediment, and the pressure builds up, pushing him into decisions with long-term repercussions. Willow's predicament grows increasingly distressing. After finding herself in the center of several confrontations, she realizes that there are more people working against her than she initially thought. Threats begin to close in from all sides, leaving her unsure who she can trust. Willow's emotional state deteriorates as the truth is gradually revealed, resulting in dramatic confrontations that send shockwaves through Port Charles. Meanwhile, Drew continues to pursue his own plan. Determined to achieve his goals regardless of the repercussions, he devises a technique that jeopardizes multiple relationships. His activities irritate Jason, who refuses to let events escalate out of control. Their disagreement intensifies with each passing day, causing family members and friends to choose sides. Jason finds himself being pushed in various directions. While seeking to defend those he cares about, he is under siege from both old allies and new threats. His return to numerous important stories causes unexpected consequences. As secrets emerge, Jason finds that some of those closest to him have been concealing critical information. Sonny confronts escalating challenges as foes circle him. Determined to defend his family and land, he prepares for what appears to be an unavoidable war. Warnings come from unexpected places, but Sonny's stubbornness makes it impossible for him to give in. His determination creates intense arguments, leaving numerous relationships hanging by a thread. Carly refuses to stay on the sidelines. After learning upsetting facts, she starts making her own actions. Her judgments put her in the heart of risky situations involving Sonny, Valentine, and others. Carly's drive to protect her loved ones takes her into dangerous territory, where one incorrect move might have disastrous results. Valentine develops as one of Port Charles's most unpredictable players. Suspicious of hidden intentions and secret affiliations, he begins assembling parts of a puzzle that others thought would remain hidden. As his investigation progresses, Valentine uncovers material that threatens to expose many persons. His discoveries spark confrontations rife with accusations, denials, and surprising admissions.